Alright, first things first, let's talk army composition, which by the way will be linked down in the description if you want to copy the exact army that I use. Some notable things to mention about this army are that I like to bring 4 headhunters. I know some players like to bring 3. I prefer to bring 4. I've just found that it's best to ensure that I take down that archer queen and that royal champion because those are massive threats. Another thing to mention is the use of a sneaky goblin. That is solely for funneling. If you are someone that's tight on dark elixir, you could always leave that part out of it and bring along something else to fill that 3 troop space. But for me, my dark elixir storages are fine, so I like that sneaky goblin to ensure the funnel for our heroes. And lastly, that use of a giant. Typically I just use it to test for spring traps or just to tank just a little bit for our heroes, but it's not necessary. You could always leave it out and bring another balloon, as we are bringing an ice golem as well. Next we have spell composition, 5 freezes, 4 invisibility spells, and 2 haste. If you're someone that's brand new to this strategy and you would feel more comfortable bringing along 5 invisibility spells, I would recommend taking out a freeze and replacing it with an invis. But for me, 4 is the perfect number. As you practice this, you'll get really good with your invisibility spell placement and you'll be able to secure all the value you need in 4. But like I said, if you do want to bring a 5th, I would recommend taking out one of the freezes. For our clan castle, this is pretty non-negotiable in my opinion. 4 super wizards, 1 wall breaker, which is highly important, and you'll see why in some of these replays coming up, and then 8 goblins, which is also highly important as those goblins are what test for traps. Ideally they'll pull the giant bombs, the small bombs, the spring traps, anything that can mess up your super wizard value. And finally we have our heroes and pet combination. These can be lenient based off if you're upgrading or maybe you're a Town Hall 14 watching this wanting to use this strategy. For me, I like Diggy on the royal champion no matter what I'm doing. I think that's non-negotiable. If your Diggy is upgrading, I would recommend putting the Phoenix on her. If you don't have the Phoenix, then I would just stick with the Lassie. With the Queen, I use the Unicorn 100% of the time. That seems to be the only logical option here. With the Grand Warden, I use the Owl just because the Owl is also an air troop. And then with the king, I use the Phoenix, although you could use the Yak. It really is all just a preference or what you have available. There are some instances where having the Yak on him would be helpful for a base that has a lot of closed walls, but a majority of the time in Legends League, I've found that the Phoenix is much more beneficial to keep that king alive for an extra 7-8 seconds, however long it is. Keep him tanking for our Archer Queen and allow them to get just enough value to keep our balloons pushing through the way that we want them to. So first up, we have this style of base right here, which is something that you're going to see a lot in Legends League, where you have your Town Hall in the center, typically going to be surrounded by dual poison towers. They might change them to rages, they might change them to invises. Then you're also going to have your scatter shots, your inferno towers, your eagle artillery, all that stuff is going to kind of be centralized right here in this Town Hall compartment. Now obviously, to get the blizzard there, you have to use your warden. You can't just free send it. You're bound to have traps somewhere along this line to stop your blimp. Now that's if you want to take out the Town Hall with your blimp, which for me, the value here that my wizards could get, considering there's a scatter shot, an enemy hero, there's a spell tower, an inferno tower, the clan castle's in here. Everything of value is in this core. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my Grand Warden early to get the blimp here. I'm going to send it in from this direction. It's going to land right here. Now, one thing to note about this is that you don't want poison towers going off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let my blimp fly in. This poison tower is going to go off and it's going to fling its poison effect about right here. And the poison effect will go into about this vicinity, and I'm going to land my super wizards right here, just out of reach of that poison effect. Now I'm also going to have to freeze this poison tower to keep it from going off on me right here. So I am investing a lot to get this blimp where I want it to be, but in my opinion, the value is too high to not take that risk. And then ideally, the blimp goes as planned. We clear out a big section of this base, right? And then the warden, along with a couple of invincible balloons, will kind of clear off all that. So we'll have a nice big chunk of the base taken out, in which case we'll be able to send our heroes in. They'll just work around in a ring motion, and then we have our balloons, our lava hound, all of our minions to kind of work their way through there and clean up all of that. And let's see if we can get it done. So a couple balloons, to go after these defenses, Warden with the blimp. You'll also notice that I send in a headhunter to go towards the enemy archer queen. An invincible headhunter, just one of them, is enough to take out an enemy air defending hero, which if you can pick one of those off nice and early, it's a great perk, because those are highly threatening to our balloons. So I send those in. I'm going to pop this Warden ability here any second now. Those invincible balloons will pick off a couple of defenses. That invincible headhunter absolutely is melting that queen. You'll see that the poison tower goes off. My blimp is going to make it just out of range. I freeze that sweeper and that other poison tower so that it does not affect our blimp. And our blimp makes it just out of range of that poison tower. Those goblins in my clan castle pull the bombs. You actually notice that I make the town hall invisible first, just to ensure that my super wizards get some of the value around it before that town hall giga bomb blows them up, because we want the value around it as well. We don't just want the town hall. And as you can see, we do ensure all that. We even pick off that second poison tower with the last shot, which is nice. And you'll see that I have a beautiful path carved out to send my heroes in. They're going to get sent in on the top right here, and my warden's still alive. I don't know why I dropped that poison spell. I think in the moment I thought that E-Titan was still alive fighting my warden, but the warden had already finished him off. So heroes are going in with that giant, with that ice golem. They'll take care of everything here, send in that headhunter to help get through that enemy king, just so that we can save our king ability a little bit longer. Royal champion with a baby dragon and some archers to funnel those buildings, just to make sure everyone keeps pushing in. This is a pretty heavy hitting compartment. You'll see that there's skelly traps here, dual ground bows, that eagle artillery is right there. But once we clear that, there's not a whole lot of base left. We even have the warden still alive, which is something that you can't always rely on. And we're just gonna go ahead and start with our balloons, just so that they can work in tandem with our heroes. You'll find that if you can start the Lalo when your heroes meet up with them, they work together, they both stay alive a little bit longer. It's just the best way to do this. That royal champion is working along that inner ring, and you just sprinkle in your hound. You want to send your hound in such a direction that it can soak up as many traps as possible, because you don't want your balloons getting hit by a bunch of red bombs. But you'll see all the major threats are gone. Obviously there's still a monolith, but a monolith versus 20 balloons isn't going to do much. And we even still have our warden alive, which, like I said, is something that you can't always rely on. He typically will die, but in this attack, he's still alive. And the only threat left is that backside air defense, and we have more spells than it can handle. As you can see, he was feeling confident, dropped all the spells anyway. Kind of a disrespectful attack. I even had one of my buddies in my clan spectating me too, so kind of had to show off for him, you know. And that's 3 stars. It's a beautiful way to start off this video. All right, next up we have a box base, which I have an entire video dedicated to box bases and using the strategy on them. If you haven't seen that, I'll link it in the description if you're interested. But when approaching these box bases, there are a couple things to look for. First things first, which way are the sweepers facing? 95% of the time, they're gonna face one of 3 ways. Sometimes they'll be facing towards the town hall. Most of the time they're facing away. Next, what are the inferno towers set to, and where in the base are they located? They're typically always going to be centralized, which is the case here. And then I like to look at the spell towers, what they're set to, how I can deal with them, because they each present their own difficulty. And then where is the clan castle, because luring that is quite important. So on this base, the clan castle is over here. I also like to look at where are the air defenses, because if you can make it where you want to make it using a hound, that is ideal. You don't want to have to use your warden to get the blimp where you want it to go all the time. The ideal way to use this strategy is with a hound. So as you'll see right here, there's an air defense and another air defense, and there's not much room for traps right here to keep us from getting where we want to go. I want my blimp to make it right here so that I can take out a lot of this value. So I'm going to send a hound in at this angle. Hopefully the hound getting hit by 2 air defenses and a scatter shot can pop before my blimp makes it past this air defense, and then those lava pups can pull any traps that could stop us from making it to right here. But that's the plan, so let's see if we can make it happen. So exactly as I said, hound is in, blimp behind. couple balloons to pick off those archer towers. That's something little that I like to do. And then you'll see that I dropped an archer on that that enemy spell barracks, because there's an E-Titan in the clan castle, and E-Titans are a massive threat to this attack. Something that I probably should have mentioned on the last one. You don't want your E-Titans sitting on top of your super wizards because they will die fast. So you need to be ready with either a balloon, an archer, something to lure that E-Titan away from where your blimp is going to be doing its work. So you'll see it chases the blimp at first, but then once I make it invisible, it's going to make its way over to that archer that I dropped. And we are going to get all the value that I was hoping for. We take out that multi, we take out that scatter, we take out that cannon, which isn't important. Right now I'm trying to get that royal champion, and we do get one super wizard to get its last shot off and take her out. So pretty good value. We even got that eagle. We pulled the spell tower, or the poison tower, my bad. Which is nice, although it will recharge before we make our way back to it. And then queen on the outside to deal with that clan castle. King to start making his way over. You'll see there's a few stubborn buildings that our queen can't reach. She's actually going to end up going the wrong way, which wasn't planned, but honestly it does work out better in my favor because there's not much over here. The king can take care of all of it. You will see that I'm using the yak with the king on this one. That's because my phoenix was upgrading. So on the fly, I'm doing some funneling for my queen just to make her go into that compartment instead of walking around the base. And then our king will pick off these defenses over here. And I believe I send my royal champion, to get those two defenses, and then she will meet up with the queen. And at this point, we're going to Lalo through the town hall, which is, at least in my experience, a very good way to take out these box spaces, especially with an invis tower behind it. You can freeze that invis tower along with the town hall, and your balloons can take it out. And then with the warden ability, you can negate the damage of the giga bomb and that giga poison, and you can use a haste spell to get out of it real quickly. But enough talking, I'll just let you see it for yourselves. So I am letting my heroes get a decent amount of percent because you want that town hall to wake up by the time your balloons make it there. And then hound across the map, sprinkle your balloons in to pick off defenses. Town hall does wake up. You have to be ready with that freeze spell because that town hall will wreck it. Now you'll notice, if you look closely at my warden, I see that my balloons are about to make it to the town hall. Obviously I drop my haste, but then I send in a hound and I send all 4 of my headhunters in, because what's going to happen here is I'm going to pop that warden ability right when the headhunters get to the edge of it. And at that point my balloons will be taking down the town hall or about to take down the town hall. Everyone will be invincible. That invincible hound will fly across the map, soak up traps. Those headhunters that are invincible will make their way to the queen. They will take her out. In this case, it was important to make them invincible because you'll see that Expo right there is on ground mode, which means that they would only be targeting our headhunters and they would absolutely melt them. So we want them to be invincible for this. So warden ability at the last second, I catch 3 out of the 4 headhunters in there. That invincible hound is making its way across. The invis tower pops, which doesn't really matter because there's a Tesla over here that pulls us anyway. And then I just sprinkle in balloons. And as you can see, we have enough freezes to take care of all the remaining threats. We can freeze all 3 key defenses up at the same time, that air defense, that multi, and that scatter. And it does get a little dicey here at the end, but with the warden, with the owl, and those balloons getting their health boosted a little bit by that warden aura, we take care of it nice and easily. 3 out of 4 heroes still alive, plenty of balloons, and that's another 3-star. Alright, so this next replay is a fantastic example of why that one wall breaker in the clan castle is so important, and I'm going to show you why here in just a second. My goal with this blimp is to make it to that compartment with the Eagle artillery, but as you'll see here, it's going to fall just short. So I send my blimp in, it's going to pop right before this wall, and now I wanted to point something out here. With this wall breaker in your clan castle, you can determine if it busts open a wall or not with how fast you drop your spells. So you'll see here, I drop my spells fairly fast. With a typical blimp, if it goes where I want it to go, I can delay my first invis drop by a second or two, let all those goblins run out, all those goblins die, and then invis at the perfect time. That's something that just takes a little bit of practice, but if you drop your spells fast here, one raged up wall breaker is enough to break open maxed walls. So you'll see that rage drops at the perfect time, and that raged up wall breaker busts open the wall, and despite the fact that we fell short from this compartment, we do now have access to it. So our super wizards will take out these defenses around here, and they'll step in perfectly. Thanks to that enemy king, he draws them over, and they'll be able to take out essentially everything we wanted. We get the clan castle pull. We unfortunately don't get this multi, but we got the scatter, we got the rage tower, we got the eagle, we pulled the clan castle. We've set ourselves up nicely here. And then typical stuff, I do this on every base, lure the clan castle over with an archer or something, and then once it makes it there, we will drop our queen and our poison spell, and she'll deal with them nice and easily. That one minion that I used to funnel actually lures over those super minions, but that's okay. They come back, they step into the poison, and we are just going to have our heroes push up and around. Ice Golem out in front. Queen actually steps in, which we didn't intend, but we give our king access there. I tried to funnel with a wizard, it did not work, so I'm going to have to invest a baby dragon probably. Headhunter to finish off that king so that our queen doesn't go to ability. And then I send in that baby dragon as the air defense is about to get stunned so that it does not get absolutely wrecked. So our funnel is set up pretty nicely. A couple balloons to pick off, and we're just going to go ahead and start. Pick off all those defenses, warden in. You'll notice I delay the balloon deployment as my hound is flying across the map. I don't deploy them prematurely. I'll let the hound distract the defense, and then I deploy them. So we're just moving in towards this town hall. It should wake up any second now. There's the 5th star. We can start freezing it. Another hound, all of our headhunters in, just like the last attack. Warden ability. We're going to haste out of that town hall. Queen's still alive, doing great work. 2 freezes in the bag to take care of this multi, which is our only threat. 2 hounds flying across this Tesla farm right here, which is great because we're going to pull all those traps. We're going to keep those defenses distracted just a little longer. A freeze that wasn't necessary, but as you can see, we have more balloons than any Tesla farm could handle. Plenty of troops for cleanup. Queen still with ability. I mean, look at the balloon parade. Plenty still alive. The plan went great. And that is the importance of that wall breaker and the clan castle. As you can see, that attack would not have succeeded the same way had we not gotten that initial value with our blimp. So another 3-star, and let's get on to this last replay. All right, with this last replay here, I wanted to throw it in here because it's a great example of how I deal with not only this type of base, but with dual invis towers. Now, no matter what the spell towers are on a base like this, I always am going to send a warden blimp in. If they're rage towers, that's amazing, you're in luck. Rage towers are difficult for other armies, but for Blizzard Lalo on this base, rage towers are a blessing in disguise. Poison towers, I would do the same thing as the very first replay in this video. Let one go off, let our blimp make it just out of range, freeze the second one so that it doesn't go off, and then, you know, let our super wizards do work. But for dual invis, I'm still going to warden blimp, and you'll see why here. Same thing as the first one, couple balloons, blimp, headhunter to go take out that royal champion, warden ability. And the bombs dropping from our blimp actually pop that invis tower nice and early. Now you'll see the importance of those goblins in the blimp. You'll see that they hit a spring trap. You see that this giant bomb is about to go off, and luckily our super wizards aren't out of our blimp yet to be affected by those. You'll also notice that since that invis tower went off, I'm going to drop my rage before dropping my first invis. So that kind of can act in our favor, acts as an invis. Luckily we have that warden tower right there to keep our super wizards targeting something. We also have that clan castle so that they stay in place. So let it play, drop the rage, drop the invis again. We do make the town hall invisible just to make sure that we pick up some of this value around it. But we don't let it get fully picked up because I kind of forgot that there was that second invis tower. So we hit that town hall, the invis tower goes off. We can target that scatter shot to keep our super wizards in place, and as you can see, the invis is just about worn off. So we take care of everything around it, and with this last invis, we can secure that town hall. we pick up an insane amount of value. We almost get that Eagle Artillery at the end, but the Builder Hut keeps it alive. But same as the first replay, we have a great funnel set for our heroes to just walk around. Clan Castle is already dealt with, so we have a poison that we can use later on in the attack. Now there is a Tesla farm down here by this monolith, which can be kind of scary, but we do have 5 free spells, which is very helpful. And we do have a king with ability with that Phoenix. We're just going to pop it nice and early to get through everything. Royal Champion in. A wall breaker was a little late. As you'll see, our heroes are going to continue walking around, but that's why that Royal Champion is in right there, to pick up all those defenses in the core. And then we're going to start our balloons to work with the heroes, because when they work together, they are much more powerful than when they work separate. And you'll see we can freeze up those defenses that are our only threat. We still have 3 free spells. We still have the Royal Champion. We still have the Diggy stunning these defenses. The Invis does go off, which does make things a little messy, but not messy enough to truly affect us because we still have more free spells. Royal Champion will take care of that last scatter shot. We still have a couple balloons to sprinkle in. We still have 2 hounds that are distracting this air defense. We have a baby dragon to start cleaning up that bottom side. We have 2 archers that we can drop, and there is nothing left that can stop us. 2 free spells, a queen ability still in the bag. The base is crushed. Another beautiful 3-star with this strategy. And yeah, not much else to say. Alright guys, that is going to conclude today's video. If there are any concepts that I didn't explain well enough, or any concepts that I didn't explain at all, please comment them down below. I will be making a part 2 where I go even more in depth on the little things and anything that you guys still may be confused on. I also plan to make more videos just like this, but for different strategies. So far, I'm working on one for E-Dragons and one for E-Titans. So if there are any other army compositions that you guys enjoy using but would like a video similar to this one based off of, then please comment that down below as well. But with all that being said, thank you guys so much for watching and have a great rest of your day.